There was a time in my life when money was very tight. Every day felt heavy. I woke up thinking about bills. I went to bed thinking about debts. It was a season that tested my strength, my patience, and my faith. But I survived. And today, I want to share how I made it through that tough financial season. That season did not arrive with warning. It slowly unfolded until it felt like I was carrying a weight on my chest every morning. The smallest expenses felt overwhelming. Even simple decisions, like buying groceries or paying for transport, required deep thought. I remember how quiet the stress was. It did not always show on the outside, but inside, it was constant. My mind was always calculating, always worrying, always trying to stretch what little I had. Some nights I lay awake, replaying numbers in my head, wondering how everything would work out. It tested not just my wallet, but my character. It forced me to confront fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Yet somehow, even in that difficult time, I kept moving forward. Looking back now, I see that survival was not luck. It was daily choices, small adjustments, and a refusal to give up, even when I felt exhausted. The first thing I did was accept my situation. I stopped pretending that everything was fine. I stopped trying to impress people. I looked at my bank account honestly. I looked at my expenses honestly. Acceptance was painful, but it gave me clarity. Before acceptance, I was living in quiet denial. I avoided checking my balance because I did not want to feel discouraged. I made excuses for unnecessary spending because I wanted to feel normal. I tried to maintain appearances so no one would know I was struggling. But pretending only made things worse. The moment I decided to face reality was uncomfortable. Seeing the actual numbers forced me to confront the truth. There was no hiding from it. But something powerful happened in that honesty. The fear began to shrink. When I stopped running from my financial reality, I began to understand it. I could finally see where my money was going and why I felt constant pressure. Acceptance did not solve the problem instantly, but it gave me direction. It removed confusion. It allowed me to stop reacting emotionally and start responding wisely. That clarity became the foundation for every decision I made afterward. I learned to separate needs from wants. I asked myself simple questions. Do I need this, or do I just want it? That question saved me many times. I reduced spending on things that were not important. I focused only on what truly mattered. This shift in thinking changed everything. Before that season, I rarely paused before spending. If something looked appealing or convenient, I justified it. But when money became tight, I had to slow down. Every purchase required reflection. I would hold an item in my hand or look at something online and ask myself honestly, is this necessary? Many times, the answer was no. I realized how much of my spending was driven by emotion, habit, or the desire for comfort. Learning to delay gratification was difficult at first. Saying no to myself felt restrictive. But over time, it became empowering. I discovered that discipline creates freedom. By choosing only what was essential, food, shelter, transportation, basic needs, I began to regain control. That simple question became my filter. It protected me from unnecessary pressure. It helped me build awareness. And slowly, I started to feel less overwhelmed because my spending aligned with survival, not impulse. I created a simple budget. Nothing complicated. I wrote down what I earned. I wrote down what I spent. Seeing the numbers on paper helped me stay in control. Even when the numbers were small, I managed them carefully. The act of writing everything down changed my relationship with money. Before, everything felt scattered and uncertain. But when I put it on paper, it became structured. I could see patterns. I could see waste. I could see opportunities to adjust. My budget was not perfect. It was basic and sometimes discouraging to look at. But it gave me a sense of order in a time that felt chaotic. I tracked every expense, even the smallest ones. That awareness helped me avoid surprises. Instead of wondering where my money went, I knew exactly where it was going. It made me feel responsible and intentional. Even when my income was limited, managing it carefully gave me confidence. I learned that financial stability is not only about how much you earn, but how well you manage what you have. That small habit of budgeting became a powerful tool for rebuilding my life step by step. I cut unnecessary expenses. I cancelled subscriptions I did not need. I cooked at home instead of eating out. I avoided impulse buying. Small changes made a big difference over time. At first, these changes felt uncomfortable. I had grown used to certain conveniences. Subscriptions felt harmless because they were small amounts. Eating out felt like a reward after a long day. Buying something impulsively gave temporary excitement. But when I added everything together, I realized how much it was draining me. Canceling those expenses required discipline. Cooking at home required planning. Avoiding impulse purchases required self-control. But over time, I began to see the results. The savings were not dramatic at first, but they were consistent. Each small decision added up. I started to understand that financial healing is built on small sacrifices repeated daily. I also discovered creativity during that season. I learned to make simple meals stretch. I learned to enjoy free activities. I learned that contentment does not always require spending. Those small lifestyle adjustments created breathing room in my finances and slowly reduced the pressure I felt. I humbled myself. I stopped being too proud to ask for help. Sometimes help came from family. Sometimes from friends. Sometimes just advice. I realized that asking for help is not weakness. It is wisdom. Pride can be expensive. For a long time, I believed I had to solve everything alone. I did not want anyone to see me struggling. I feared judgment. I feared appearing irresponsible. But carrying everything by myself made the burden heavier. When I finally opened up to trusted people, I realized something important: many had faced similar seasons. Some offered practical support. Others offered guidance. Even simple encouragement made a difference. Asking for help required vulnerability, but it also built connection. It reminded me that life is not meant to be navigated alone. Wisdom often comes through shared experiences. Listening to advice helped me avoid repeating mistakes. Emotional support helped me stay strong mentally. I learned that strength is not isolation. True strength is knowing when to reach out. That humility did not make me smaller, it made me wiser and more resilient during that difficult financial chapter. I looked for small ways to earn extra money. I did simple side jobs. I used my skills, even basic ones. I did not wait for a perfect opportunity. I started with what I had. Instead of focusing on what I lacked, I began focusing on what I could offer. I asked myself what skills I already possessed. They did not have to be extraordinary. They just needed to be useful. I explored small tasks, short-term work, and opportunities that fit my situation. Some jobs were not glamorous. Some required extra effort after long days. But each one contributed something. I stopped waiting for the ideal job or perfect breakthrough. I realized that progress often begins with small steps. Even modest extra income created relief. It boosted my confidence because I felt proactive rather than helpless. I learned that resourcefulness is powerful. When you shift your mindset from scarcity to creativity, opportunities become easier to notice. Starting small removed pressure. It allowed me to build momentum gradually. And that willingness to act, even imperfectly, helped me slowly climb out of that difficult season. I stayed consistent. Even when progress was slow, I did not stop. Even when I felt tired, I kept going. Financial recovery does not happen overnight. It takes steady effort every day. Consistency became my anchor during that season. There were days when I saw no visible improvement. My savings did not grow as quickly as I hoped. Some unexpected expenses erased small progress I had made. It would have been easy to give up and return to careless habits. But I reminded myself that change is rarely dramatic at first. It is quiet and gradual. I focused on repeating the small habits that were helping me rebuild. Budgeting, saving, cutting costs, looking for extra income. Even when the results felt invisible, I trusted the process. Some days I felt emotionally drained. The weight of responsibility felt heavy. But instead of quitting, I chose discipline over emotion. I learned that consistency is not about feeling motivated every day. It is about showing up anyway. Over time, those repeated actions created stability. Slow progress was still progress, and that steady movement forward made all the difference. I changed my mindset about money. Instead of saying, "I am broke," I said, "I am rebuilding." Words are powerful. The way I spoke about my situation changed how I felt about it. Language shapes belief. When I constantly told myself that I was broke, I felt defeated and powerless. That word carried shame and finality. It made my situation feel permanent. But when I began to say that I was rebuilding, everything shifted. Rebuilding implies progress. It suggests that something is being constructed step by step. It gave me a sense of direction rather than despair. I began to see my situation as temporary, not permanent. I stopped identifying myself with lack. Instead, I identified with growth. This mental shift did not magically increase my bank account, but it strengthened my confidence. It helped me approach money with intention instead of fear. I became more solution-focused and less emotionally reactive. I learned that mindset is one of the most powerful financial tools a person can have. When you change your inner dialogue, you change your emotional resilience, and that resilience helps you endure difficult seasons. I avoided comparison. I stopped comparing my life to others on social media. I focused on my own journey. Everyone has a different path. Comparison only added pressure. Comparison had quietly increased my stress without me realizing it. Seeing others travel, shop, celebrate, and appear financially stable made me question my own progress. Social media rarely shows the full story, yet I allowed those images to influence my emotions. I felt behind. I felt inadequate. But I eventually understood that comparison was draining my energy. It distracted me from my own goals. I made a conscious decision to step back from measuring my life against someone else's highlight reel. I reminded myself that everyone's circumstances are different. Some people have different responsibilities, opportunities, or timelines. My focus needed to remain on what I could control. When I stopped comparing, I felt lighter. I regained mental clarity. I began celebrating my small wins instead of minimizing them. Financial recovery is personal. It is not a competition. Once I accepted that truth, I could move forward with greater peace and confidence in my own path. I practiced gratitude. Even in that hard season, I found small things to be thankful for. A meal. A roof over my head. Good health. Gratitude gave me strength to continue. Gratitude became a daily discipline. It did not erase my challenges, but it changed how I experienced them. Instead of focusing only on what I lacked, I intentionally noticed what I still had. I had food to eat, even if it was simple. I had shelter, even if it was modest. I had breath in my lungs and strength in my body. These were not small blessings. They were foundations. When I shifted my attention to these gifts, my anxiety softened. Gratitude reminded me that my situation, though difficult, was not hopeless. It anchored me in perspective. I began writing down things I was thankful for, even on the hardest days. This practice protected my mental health. It prevented bitterness from growing inside me. Gratitude did not deny reality, it balanced it. It helped me remain hopeful and emotionally steady. In many ways, gratitude gave me the emotional fuel I needed to keep working toward financial stability. I learned patience. Some days were frustrating. Some days nothing seemed to improve. But I reminded myself that seasons change. Tough times do not last forever. Patience did not come naturally to me. I wanted quick solutions and immediate results. I wanted relief from stress as soon as possible. But rebuilding finances is a gradual process. There were moments when I questioned whether my efforts were enough. When progress felt invisible, frustration tried to take over. During those times, I had to speak to myself gently. I reminded myself that growth is rarely instant. Just as difficult seasons arrive slowly, recovery unfolds slowly as well. I learned to respect the timeline of my journey. Patience allowed me to stay committed without becoming discouraged. It helped me accept that setbacks were part of the process, not proof of failure. Over time, I saw small improvements that once seemed impossible. Those improvements came because I waited, endured, and refused to rush the process. Patience strengthened my character and prepared me for greater stability in the future. I improved my financial knowledge. I read simple articles. I watched educational videos. I learned about saving, investing, and planning. Knowledge gave me confidence. Before that season, I realized I had limited understanding of how money truly works. I earned and spent, but I had not studied financial principles deeply. When money became tight, I decided to educate myself. I started with simple resources. I read articles that explained budgeting clearly. I watched videos that broke down saving strategies and basic investing concepts. I did not try to learn everything at once. I focused on practical knowledge I could apply immediately. The more I learned, the less afraid I felt. Understanding how money flows, grows, and disappears gave me clarity. It removed mystery and confusion. Knowledge empowered me to make better decisions instead of reacting emotionally. I began planning instead of guessing. I saw money not just as something to spend, but as something to manage wisely. That education became an investment in myself. It gave me tools that would benefit me long after the tough season ended. I built discipline. I saved small amounts whenever I could. Even if it was little, I saved it. That habit slowly created stability in my life. Discipline is often quiet and unnoticed, but it produces powerful results. At first, saving felt almost pointless because the amounts were small. Sometimes it was just a little set aside after covering necessities. But I made a commitment to consistency. I treated saving as non-negotiable, even if the amount was modest. Over time, I watched those small deposits accumulate. The growth was gradual, but it was real. More importantly, the habit changed me internally. I became more intentional with spending because I valued the effort it took to save. Discipline strengthened my self-control. It reminded me that stability is built slowly. Each time I chose to save instead of spend unnecessarily, I reinforced a new identity, someone who manages money wisely. That shift in behavior created confidence. Stability did not appear suddenly. It was formed through repeated small acts of discipline, and those acts eventually created a stronger financial foundation. I protected my peace. Stress can destroy clear thinking. So I prayed. I meditated. I took quiet walks. I gave myself space to breathe. During that financial season, I realized that if I lost my peace, I would lose my clarity. Constant stress can cloud judgment. It can push you to make rush decisions out of fear. I noticed that when my mind was overwhelmed, I struggled to think wisely about money. So I made a conscious decision to protect my inner calm. I created small daily routines that grounded me. Prayer gave me comfort and reminded me that I was not alone in my struggle. Meditation helped slow my racing thoughts. Quiet walks allowed me to step away from numbers and worries, even if just for a short time. Those moments of stillness restored my strength. They helped me respond instead of react. Protecting my peace was not ignoring reality. It was preparing myself mentally and emotionally to face it with strength. A calm mind made better financial decisions, and that calmness became one of my greatest assets. I stayed hopeful. Hope became my anchor. I believed that better days were coming. That belief helped me wake up every morning and try again. Hope is powerful, especially when circumstances feel discouraging. There were days when my efforts seemed too small to matter. But I refused to believe that my situation would last forever. I chose to believe that improvement was possible. Hope did not mean denying hardship. It meant trusting that hardship was temporary. Every morning, when I woke up with financial responsibilities on my mind, hope pushed me forward. It reminded me that today's discipline could create tomorrow's stability. It kept my energy alive when discouragement tried to settle in. Without hope, it would have been easy to surrender to frustration. But with hope, I found motivation. I saw each day as another opportunity to move one step closer to freedom. That steady belief in better days sustained me. It strengthened my resilience. Hope was not just a feeling, it was a decision I made repeatedly, and that decision kept me going. I forgave myself for past mistakes. Maybe I had made poor financial decisions before. But I refused to live in regret. I chose to learn instead of blame. Looking back, I could see areas where I had been careless. There were decisions I would not repeat. For a while, I carried guilt. I replayed past choices and wondered what might have been different. But I eventually realized that regret does not rebuild finances. It only drains energy. If I wanted to move forward, I had to release self-condemnation. I had to accept that mistakes are part of growth. Instead of blaming myself, I studied my errors. I asked what lessons they were teaching me. Each mistake became a teacher rather than a burden. Forgiving myself brought emotional relief. It removed shame and replaced it with responsibility. I understood that while I could not change the past, I could shape the future. That shift allowed me to focus fully on rebuilding. Self-forgiveness gave me the freedom to improve without being trapped by yesterday's decisions. I focused on growth, not shame. Financial struggle is not a sign of failure. It is part of life for many people. I saw it as a lesson, not a label. At one point, I felt embarrassed about my situation. I worried that others would see my struggle as incompetence. But I slowly understood that financial difficulty does not define a person's worth. Many hardworking, intelligent people experience challenging seasons. Life can change unexpectedly. Instead of labeling myself as a failure, I began viewing my struggle as a classroom. Each obstacle carried a lesson. Each limitation forced creativity. Each challenge built resilience. When I shifted my focus from shame to growth, I felt lighter. I became more solution-oriented. I stopped hiding from my circumstances and started engaging with them constructively. Growth requires honesty and courage. It requires admitting where improvement is needed. But it also requires self-respect. I refuse to let temporary hardship become a permanent identity. By choosing growth, I strengthened my mindset. That perspective transformed a painful season into a powerful period of personal development. Slowly, things began to improve. Not in a dramatic way, but step by step. Bills became manageable. Savings started to grow. Confidence returned. The improvement was gradual, almost quiet. There was no single breakthrough moment where everything changed at once. Instead, I noticed small shifts. A bill paid on time without stress. A small emergency handled without panic. A savings balance that no longer felt empty. These subtle victories built momentum. Each one reinforced the value of the discipline I had practiced. As my financial situation stabilized, my confidence grew with it. I felt more capable and secure. The anxiety that once followed me daily began to fade. I realized that recovery is rarely loud or dramatic. It unfolds steadily through consistent effort. The habits I built during hardship began to protect me. They created structure and resilience. Over time, I could breathe easier. The progress was earned, not accidental. And because it was built slowly, it felt solid and lasting. Today, I look back at that tough financial season with gratitude. It taught me discipline, humility, patience, and strength. I survived because I adapted. I survived because I did not give up. And if you are in a tough financial season right now, know this, you can survive too. When I reflect on that chapter of my life, I no longer see only stress and fear. I see transformation. That difficult season shaped my character in ways comfort never could. It taught me to manage money wisely. It taught me to live intentionally. It taught me resilience. I discovered strength I did not know I had. I learned that survival is not about perfection, it is about persistence. I adapted when necessary. I adjusted my habits. I confronted uncomfortable truths. And most importantly, I kept going even when progress felt slow. That refusal to quit changed everything. Today, I carry the lessons from that season with gratitude. They continue to guide my decisions. And if you are walking through your own financial struggle, remember this, tough seasons are temporary. With discipline, patience, humility, and hope, you can rebuild. You can rise again. You can survive and even grow stronger because of it.